What will the iPhone 13 actually look like? We think we've got a pretty good idea of what the iPhone 13 is gonna look like, what features it's gonna have, what it's not gonna have, but folks, we are still a long ways away from September, and a lot of things can change between now and then. And Apple is known for making some really big last-minute changes, like right before, allegedly, the iPhone actually makes its official debut at that keynote. So these are 9 of the biggest last-minute changes Apple could make to the iPhone 13 series. Some of these have started to leak out, and some of these are wild cards that we really won't know about until that actual September event. Lots to cover, so let's just get into it. And a big thanks to Udemy for sponsoring this video. We're sort of in this weird place when it comes to iPhone rumors right now in 2021, because we kind of know a little bit about this phone. We think we know some of the concrete design elements and some of the big features, but we also don't know a lot of these contradicting rumors, and we're hearing a lot of things that could either be fact or fiction, and things are just a little confusing, and it's hard to sort of piece together what we think is true and what we think isn't true. But we're starting to learn more and more about the iPhone 13, and thanks to some recent leaks of physical dummy models from Lou over at Unbox Therapy who went hands-on, we've got a really good close-up look at the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and boy oh boy are there some really big changes. One of the most striking things from Lou's video is just the sheer size of the lenses on the back of that 13 Pro Max dummy model, because we had heard that Apple was going to make the lenses on the 13 series bigger and larger, and we had kind of seen some alleged renders and some pictures, but seeing it on this dummy model in person is really striking to see, and it is a noticeable difference and a change from the iPhone 12 series we have right now, especially side by side a 12 Pro Max. Now, if this is anything like the real deal, then this will be a change that we will see on the 13 Pro, and specifically the 13 Pro Max and other 13 phones as well. And what we're hearing is sort of a combination of changes coming to the camera on the iPhone 13 series and the Pro and Pro Max. We are hearing that Apple could make the lenses on the 13 and presumably the 13 mini diagonal for some reason. We typically have had a vertical orientation, but they'd be more diagonal this year. No apparent reason off the bat why that is. And also, we're expecting to see some hardware changes and some software changes come to these cameras as well. So I'd expect sort of the basic things like better improvements to Smart HDR, Apple Pro RAW, potentially an astrophotography mode, and a portrait mode video option, which would be really cool to see with the Pro N series of phones. And in terms of hardware, nothing huge, though we could see sensor shift stabilization technology come all the way down the line from the 12 Pro Max this year to all 13 models next year. And we could also see an improved ultra-wide lens come to the 13 Pro and Pro Max as well. Lets in a little bit more light, should be a little bit better of a lens, and be a little bit more versatile. Now, another sort of hidden feature with the iPhone 13 that could either be a last-minute addition or a last-minute removal could in fact be reverse wireless charging. Now, if you've sort of been following the iPhone rumor cycle for a couple of years, you know that reverse wireless charging is always one of those last-minute features that is supposed to be on the iPhone and then seemingly gets pulled last minute. I think all the way back to the iPhone 11 series, we had heard that reverse wireless charging was going to be a thing. Then it was supposed to be sort of a done deal for the iPhone 12. The tech was in there, it was going to happen. And there are even rumors we had heard a couple of months ago when the iPhone 12 series launched that the hardware was there, the phones were capable of reverse wireless charging accessories, presumably like AirPods and maybe even AirTags. I guess that actually didn't pan out, but it doesn't look like that was ever going to be a thing, or Apple at least did not turn on that software to allow that hardware to actually work and the phones to reverse wirelessly charge. Could we see it come to the iPhone 13? Maybe, possibly. Rumors on this has been pretty much non-existent, so I'm curious to see if this actually does come to the iPhone 13 lineup, though again, this could be a very last-minute thing that Apple either decides to add and finally unlock with software, or they decide to keep it locked down and not make it a thing for another year again. Next up, let me just give you the good news and the bad news when it comes to the notch on the iPhone 13 series. Now, good news, it's getting smaller. Bad news, it is not getting significantly smaller. If you're hoping and crossing your fingers that there could be a last minute change that makes the notch totally gone from the iPhone 13 that looks like these crystal clear, perfect renders, I'm sorry to tell you that's probably not going to happen. There are a lot of last minute changes that Apple could make to this device, but shrinking the notch down significantly or removing it altogether is probably just not going to happen. Thanks to smaller Face ID components, the notch will be smaller on the iPhone 13, but we're not gonna get a hole punch. We're not gonna get a totally notchless iPhone. Unfortunately, that just doesn't seem like it's gonna happen this year. If it was, we'd probably see more leaks that kind of gave some credit to those theories, but because we're starting to see more and more of the hardware components leak out, looks like the notch we're seeing is the notch we're probably going to get. Sorry, not sorry. I wish it was gonna go away, but just not gonna happen this year. Do not count on that being a last minute change. Now, I can't go any further in talking about last minute changes to the iPhone without talking about one that just happened last year, and that kind of was a big brouhaha, for lack of a better phrase, or whatever that is, and that is ProMotion display technology. If you remember, if we wind back the clock to last year, we had heard that the 12 Pro series had ProMotion. It was like a done deal. We heard numerous rumors and we saw leaked photos that this was going to come to the Pro end iPhones at long last, and unfortunately, it did not happen. The prevailing theory is that there was an issue with battery life between 5G and ProMotion. Both were kind of sucking too much juice from that battery, and in the end, Apple, again, rumor has it, went with 5G support over ProMotion. We're not sure how far along in the development process it was that ProMotion was there, then it got removed or taken out or whatever happened with that technology. So that just obviously didn't happen with the 12 Pro. Fast forward to this year with the 13 Pro, it seems like a done deal, fingers crossed. We're hearing Samsung is the exclusive supplier of these displays with LTPO backplane technology for the Pro and 13 iPhones. And yes, they should finally have ProMotion displays. Apple's gonna put a bigger battery in there. It's not gonna be an issue this year. At least that's the theory, that it is a done deal this year. But if you remember last year, it seemed sort of like a done deal before. So fingers crossed this year we have better luck and ProMotion finally comes to the iPhone 13 Pro. I can't imagine this is one of those things that's pulled last minute, though you never know with Apple. Last year was a really weird year for multiple reasons, and seeing ProMotion just disappear like that was not a very good thing to see. Hopefully that is not a last minute change and that does not get removed this year. Next, let's just talk about the elephant in the room for this video, the one feature that we just do not know if it's gonna come to the 13 Pro and Pro Max or not, and that is Face ID in combination with Touch ID. Now I can bet with a very good degree of certainty that Face ID is not going anywhere on this phone. The 13 series will have Face ID, but Touch ID is just one of those things that continues to remain a mystery. And what's so weird about this is that when we first got iPhone 13 rumors, this was a really strong rumor from multiple sources, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, Barclays, where Apple was testing at least one device this year with both Face ID and Touch ID that could launch this year in 2021. And we all kind of, I guess, presume that because of what happened last year in 2020, that Apple would sort of accelerate these efforts internally with everyone wearing masks, that Face ID and Touch ID would live side by side with the iPhone 13, at least in the 13 Pro and Pro Max, but this just remains a mystery. There has been sort of not a lot of information as of late on whether this is happening or not. This still is very much up in the air, and this could be a very last minute thing that Apple either includes or doesn't include. Now, if you think about it, the hardware sort of has to be there, whether it's under the display or Apple kind of does something a la the iPad Air and builds Touch ID into the power button of the iPhone 13. We just don't know which way they're gonna go with this and whether it's really gonna come to the iPhone. We hope, and again, crossing our fingers, this does come to the 13 Pro and Pro Max, but the longer we go without any new information, the more this doesn't seem to happen. So I'm gonna bet that this could be one of the wild cards we just don't know about, maybe up until the actual event day, on whether this is coming or not. But this is certainly a huge wild card that could be a last minute change, either an addition or a subtraction from the 13 Pro and Pro Max. Hopefully it happens, but at this point right now, we just do not know. Before we continue with more of the mysteries of the iPhone 13, let's talk about something super clear, and that is that you should be expanding your knowledge and refining your skills by taking a course from this video's sponsor, Udemy. Udemy is your one-stop destination for learning online. It's the largest online learning marketplace with over 155,000 courses to choose from. Whether it's programming, finance, video production, investing, data science, and many, many more, Udemy has got you covered. They are home to a wide variety of courses courses that are high quality, easy to follow, and available at a very affordable price. Over 40 million people have taken a course on Udemy. It's trusted by 80% of Fortune 100 companies and is perfect for strengthening your skill set, gaining the skills you need to grow at your current job, or just learning about something you've always wanted to know more about. There are so many reasons to start learning on Udemy. And best of all, the biggest sale of the year is going on right now on Udemy. There has never been a better time to invest in yourself, and whether you want to jump into a new career field, you want to expand your skill set, or just learn about that subject you've always been curious about, there are so many reasons to check out Udemy and start learning today. So if you want to start learning on Udemy today and check it out for yourself, hit that link right down below to learn more. You've got so many different high quality courses to choose from, so nice that they're easy to follow and kind of learn on your own timetable and at your own pace. Udemy is awesome, and I highly recommend you check it out today. Again, take a course on Udemy and start learning today. That link right down below. Some other last minute changes include things like storage options and color options as well. We had heard that Apple could offer this year a 1 terabyte version of the 13 Pro and Pro Max, and we also don't know what the color could be. We got midnight green, we got Pacific blue. What could the special color of the Pro phones be this year? Are we gonna see a matte black option? Are we going to see sort of an orange bronze color that looks super cool? Or are we just not gonna get any special color? Could we get a space gray, more of a silver sort of thing? We just don't know what it's going to look like as of right now. These again are last minute changes that just could come at the drop of a hat, either right before the event or right after when the iPhone details go live on Apple's website. We're just not sure what exactly the details on this will be. So again, a couple more things you just gotta watch out for and keep a close eye on. And last but not least, could there be a last minute change away from the A15 over to an M series processor, maybe even the M1, like we got with the iPad Pro? I don't think anyone was really expecting to see an M1 come to the iPad Pro. We were hoping and dreaming, but we just didn't think it was gonna happen. But yes, Apple has answered our dreams. They've made them come true, and we got an M1 in the iPad Pro. Could we see an M1 with the iPhone 13, maybe the 13 Pro and Pro Max? This probably will not happen. We're hearing this is just gonna be the A15 in the 13 series. The M1 is just kind of reserved for these higher end devices, but maybe Apple could surprise us all with that really crazy one more thing. And that's it. Those are 9 of the last minute changes that could come to the 13 mini, 13, 13 Pro, and 13 Pro Max. What are your thoughts? Are one of these things a deal breaker to you if Apple does add it or they take it away? Would you buy an iPhone 13 if it didn't have Touch ID and Face ID? How important is promotion to you? And which color would you like to see on the 13? What do you hope Apple could potentially add in last minute to these phones? If you had to pick one like pie in the sky, really nice idea that you'd love to see Apple kind of incorporate into these phones, what would it be and why? Let me know down below. We could talk about it and discuss and just kind of geek out over iPhone 13 news. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I sincerely appreciate it. I'm Robert Rosenfeld, and I'll see you all in the next one.